Hey, so what time did you wake up this morning?
Oh God, it's so early. I can't even understand my thoughts in my head right now.
What time were you supposed to wake up this morning?
Okay, so this morning I was supposed to wake up about 6 a.m. That didn't really happen. I mean, what's even worse is like a couple days ago, we were supposed to wake up at like 5 a.m. Oh God.
I know. What are we going to do?
Exactly.
So what do you do? This is, what are we going to do if life throws something at us that we don't expect?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta adjust, right?
That's what they say.
It's easier said than done. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, first thing we got to do is get this intro in to let people know that missteps are kind of normal. Well, not kind of normal. They're very normal.
Missteps are very normal.
All right, everybody. Well, good morning and welcome to the show.
This is Mikel-Claire.
And this is Trey.
And we are the couple of entrepreneurs. We're here to share with you our journey of successes and setbacks as we enter the world of entrepreneurship now that we no longer have 9-to-5s due to the new normal of the world and the pandemic.
Join us as we race the clock to start earning money, gain consistency, and overcome self-doubts and uncertainty as we search for our voices and obtain personal and financial growth.
I hope you had your coffee this morning.
Oh, I actually have a big, gigantic cup of it right now, as you can hear me slurping down.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And here's the thing, it's just regular black coffee and cream, no sugar. Because I got to keep my girlish physique.
Oh my gosh, never call your physique girlish. That is not appealing.
That's how you know it's early. I'm not even getting my jabs in right.
That's right.
My words are all discombobulated.
Yeah, so you want to talk about discombobulated. So a couple of days ago, Trey and I had planned our schedule. We had made this whole entire schedule of our day, what would be the most effective in terms of like our work day and family time and getting our workout in. Yes, we work out. And he had us waking up at 6 a.m, but he does this thing where he sets his alarm for an hour earlier than he's supposed to.
Yeah.
In order for him to gradually wake up into the day.
Hey, baby, this mind and body is a race car, and you got to warm that bad boy up.
Well, he's warming up. I'm awake at the first alarm. So when I tell you, I was a grumpy bear the entire day. It affected my mood. It affected my workflow. It affected every single thing that I was doing.
Yeah, the best laid plans, right? Or my friend used to always tell me a plan is nothing but a list of things that don't happen. And that is exactly what happened. So I guess what all this is supposed to be is an example of, even though you have good intentions for growing your business, things might not always go to plan. And what didn't go to plan for us is getting up that early in the morning. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible for us to get up that early in the morning. We just haven't worked ourselves to that level of early wakeage to get the ball rolling. So right now, our day is still starting at like about 7 a.m., which is still regular, pretty normal.
My day started at 7 a.m.
Okay, well, I'm awake at 7 a.m. with thoughts of entrepreneurship like deep in my brain. Like for real, I'm thinking about it as I nap in and out
Until about 7:30,
7:45. It's potatoes.
Yeah. But, as long as you get things done, that's the important thing, right?
Yeah.
Things can be adjusted.
Yeah.
That's an important thing is flexibility.
Yeah.
You have to be flexible in order to roll with whatever may come your way during the day, right?
Right. Well, I think a big part of entrepreneurship is problem solving. And scheduling is a big part of problem solving. And things not going according to that schedule is problem solving. you're going to be constantly met with a vision of doing one thing, and then reality comes and smacks you in the mouth and points you in a different direction. So what are you going to do? You can't just sit there and cry or sleep in my or sleep for me. You've got to come up with a whole new game plan to get back on track.
Very true. Perfect example. So I own a custom cake business, and with the pandemic happening, a lot of my business slowed down, but recently it's starting to pick up again. So I have a cake that's due in a couple days, and Trey and I had scheduled out all of our time for the podcast. We had scheduled all of our time for working on our businesses. And now all of a sudden there's kind of like a wrench thrown into our game plan.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out how to reschedule what we already had on our schedule and how to make this beautiful cake happen. So it's been a challenge. I can't lie. I was sitting on the couch talking to Trey last night about it, and this feeling of overwhelm crept up into my stomach all the way to the top of my curly hair. And I just had a moment. I had to breathe, and I had to think, this is still important to you. Quality is not gonna go down just because you're overwhelmed. You got to pull up your big girl britches.
Your big girl britches.
And figure out what needs to be done and get it done.
I'm proud of you. You could have easily just crawled in a corner or complained or let it affect your art, but you didn't. You took it on the chin, realized this is what has to be done, and you moved forward.
And I can't lie, this whole journey, this whole experience, it actually made me realize consistency and forward movement and the importance of that in everything that you do. So it was about 9:00 last night, and I started working on things I needed to do for the cake. Yeah. Like that, to me, shows extreme growth, because at any other time I would have crawled back into bed, pulled the covers over my head and been like, good night.
I'm canceling this morning. I'm going to catch y'all in the afternoon.
So what about you? What were some missteps that you had along the way this week, if any?
I certainly have my fair share of missteps. I have this thing where I miscalculate the amount of time that I'm going to need to get things done. And my big project for this week was to create a audiobook. And I've never created an audiobook before, but it seems pretty simple. Get a microphone, press record, read, and keep it going. And for the most part, it is kind of like that, but there are other things that I didn't take account for, and that is making sure that your diction was right, audio levels, making chapters, intros, backstories, coming up with the cover art. It's all kinds of different things that I didn't calculate into the schedule. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm just going to go hop in our little makeshift studio, read a couple of lines, be done in like 45 minutes, and then have this finished product. The reality is it's 2 days later. My poor family looking at me crazy because I've been saying the same thing over and over and over again, and it's still not done. It's about 85% done. And then hearing the finished product and realizing you might not necessarily be a professional audio designer.
But you're a professional talker.
It brings up other questions regarding, should I do this on my own, or should I just pay somebody to do this? And in hindsight, I was like, man, maybe I should have just go ahead and coughed up a couple of bucks, because it would have saved me a tremendous amount of time and frustration. Huge misstep. Great learning experience.
Well, what was it that you learned?
I learned that I don't have this silky, willowy reed of a voice that I thought. I learned that I have a new appreciation for audio engineers. I learned that you are the most amazing cover designer that I've ever known, and I'm blessed to have you, and I needed your help, and you showed up for me.
Of course.
I learned that you can do this on your own, but it doesn't mean you should do it on your own.
And the funny thing is, as you were saying that, I thought about, I'm kind of like the opposite. I'm quick to try to pay somebody to do something for me, right, rather than do it myself, because I feel like it's faster. But then what I'm learning as I've worked with these different companies like Fiverr and Freelancer for the first time. Well, Fiverr I've worked with before, but Freelancer for the first time. I'm realizing that sometimes, I'm not saying always, sometimes the quality of work is not the quality of work that I can produce myself, which is an amazing eye-opener because I didn't realize, that I was capable of doing some of these things, and I absolutely am.
You're really good too.
Thank you. That means a lot, babe. But so I learned that that was a valuable learning experience. Like, you don't necessarily have to pay somebody to do something that you can do better.
Right.
So that was a misstep for me. I'm shelling out money that I should be probably spending elsewhere to get these projects done that I can do myself.
It's going to be time or it's going to be money. But you're going to pay something.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the biggest experiments, one of the biggest eye-opening projects that we've worked on has been this podcast. And I was just curious as to what your thoughts are as far as victories, missteps, things we could have done again, learning experiences, all that kind of good stuff.
This podcast has been an extreme learning experience, I think, for both of us. I think, the first thing that it's done for me, and I know we're going to talk about missteps, but the first thing that it's done for me is allowed me to kind of be more confident in what I'm saying, be more confident in my voice. That's a process, though. Right. And I haven't quite found it yet, obviously, here on episode 8. I think listening to myself, hearing all of the fumbles and the missteps, even in my words and in my thoughts, has been interesting. You don't realize how many ums and you knows and I thinks and absolutely's that you say like in any given conversation. So that has been very interesting to find out about myself. Mm-hmm. And even just the process in general, finding time to do this has been interesting, fitting that into the schedule. The other day, I know Trey may touch on this, but the other day we had to do 3 takes of one episode because of some missteps that happened that I'm sure he may touch on later. But it's definitely had ups and downs, but I think the rewards that will come out of it, even with our own communication, are going to be priceless.
I feel like we're in a whole new country, learning a whole new language. Every aspect of it is something that has a learning curve. From something as simple as even having chemistry together on the microphone, because having casual conversation is one thing, but having casual conversation under the gun of being recorded is a totally different thing. Even regarding editing and having appreciation for a good flow of conversation because it makes the editing process easier. Realizing that nervous energy can be a nightmare in the editing process because I stutter, and trying to get all of the and ahs and da-da-da-da-das and all that naturally come when people are processing thoughts, and then trying to remove that in the editing process. That's been a learning process in itself. As Mikel-Claire said earlier, we recorded 2 full shows, and then we couldn't use them because I made the mistake and didn't have the microphone set correctly. Understanding the format regarding the length, a lot of podcasts are 45 minutes to an hour long, but since we're in this process of growing together, we're taking baby steps. As you can see, our episodes are typically anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes long because that is pretty much our threshold at this moment. Tons of missteps, lots of growth, but I'm fond of the platform. I think it's really cool. I think I have one of the best co-hosts on the planet.
He's biased, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a lot of fun to just create. It's like a bit of jazz in a sense. You have to freestyle the conversation. You kind of got a good idea of where it's going to go, but you have to really listen and pay attention. And then there's a craft of editing itself. It's the whole thing has just been one positive learning experience.
Well, I think that's one of the things to remember is that even if you have missteps, it's how you view them. It's the perspective that you have that makes it either a learning experience, like you mentioned, or it makes it like something disastrous that paralyzes you from moving forward. So in this situation, I think we can kind of laugh about it because we have each other to kind of walk through it and talk about it and figure out what next steps may be after a misstep. You like that, didn't you?
I do.
Yeah, it was kind of like,
I do like that.
Yeah, it was a little like rappy. I don't know what word I don't know what I'm trying to say. I was freestyling a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, so, it can either cause growth or it can cause pain, or you can consider it a growing pain.
I like what you did there. Well, in order to make sure we don't have another misstep, we've got a pretty good, decent-sized show, so we're going to go ahead and cut it off right there. Or as I love to say, we're going to go ahead and put a pin in this.
Oh, my God. I knew it was coming. I know you knew it was coming, too, didn't you?
Thank you all for listening. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Check us out. We are trying to drop content as often as possible. So if you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please make sure to keep your notifications on so that when a new episode does pop up, you'll be the first to know and get the scoop. This is Trey Murphy, and I'm sitting here with the beautiful
Mikel-Claire.
And we will talk to you all later.
Peace out.
Peace.